Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. YouTube threw up on the recommended listing Adamant's Goody Two Shoes. So I had a flashback moment, which tied into the video I was going to do now, as I mentioned in the video that's being uploaded, about as a child I was interested in women's fashion, and I've already done the pink video, why I wear pink, why that's my favorite color. But as a child, I couldn't tell my peers that I liked pink. They wouldn't understand, and I would get accused of being gay. And homophobia was a big thing back in my childhood, and the church played a direct role in enhancing that homophobia. My interest began with my mom. As a child, she would set us kids at the kitchen table so that she could go watch her soaps in her bedroom while she ironed all the laundry. Piles and piles of laundry. Thank goodness for permanent press. But I gotta iron one of my newest shirts, though, that are supposed to be permanent press. I was going to wear red on red. I'm not sure if that would have worked. They weren't exactly the same reds. But putting it on, it was just way too wrinkled. So I got my gray one instead yesterday. We would have projects that would occupy the hours while she was watching her soaps and doing the laundry. And that's where I learned to draw. She bought a drawing book. You can learn to draw, and you can improve to drawing a dragon when you got to be the expert drawer for cartooning and other stuff, little crafts and stuff, even baking crafts. We'd bake little bread loaves for ourselves, or cookies, or other stuff as well. Another thing that my mom would do is that when the new Sears catalog would come, instead of just throwing out the old one, and this was before the recycling, forced recycling, she would plop it down on the table, and we would go through it and do collages. Tear out pages, cut out the whatever item was in the Sears catalog that we had an interest in, and we would glue them onto paper. And so that began my artistic interest in women's fashion, which had to be secret underground because of the homophobic stigma that was permeated in Mormon culture. So yes, if you don't know about Sears catalog, it's great for boys who are entering puberty, whose Mormon dad refuses to talk about sex ed. And so I would have to wait until my siblings were gone Mom was occupied, and then I would tear out the fashion pages. And if you understand women's fashion, it's the whole wardrobe, outer and inner. And would do what my mom had taught me in cutting out the objects. In this particular case, the women, fashion models. And one year, for Christmas, my sisters got a joint toy, because that makes it so much easier if you have the kids share toys. Maybe easier for the parents, but not in the long run. You gotta think of the long game. What if the two kids both want to play it at the same time? But fortunately, my parents weren't very good at giving us what we wanted. So most of our toys just sat in the closet in the toy box that they gave us. My sisters got an old Barbie fashion plates. Although I did see Tommy as the maker of the thing, but I don't know. I recognize it by the women. Amazon no longer sells it. I'm not wanting to try eBay because you can't trust eBay. But yeah, I would love to have the Barbie fashion plates again with the women I knew and grew up with. Not these new fashion fandangled women. They're just not the same. And so after Christmas, I wanted to play with the Barbie fashion plates. My sisters didn't trust me to take it to my room. And so they allowed me to play with it at their door, which they would close, but it had to be at their door to play with. So there I am on the floor at their door of their bedroom playing the Barbie fashion plates. And I can't do it in the kitchen because then Mom would see me playing with it. Can't have that. She'd think I was gay. Which, by the way, my parents did think I was gay when my Uncle Lowell decided to abandon his Barbie doll wife and Barbie doll 3 girls and become gay. He used as his excuse that he always knew he was gay because he wanted to stay home with Grandma and do women chores rather than working on the farm where my dad was working. No, sorry, Uncle. I don't buy that. Back in those homophobic days, it was improper for a boy to play with girl dolls. He had to play with boy toy soldiers and rugged, tough role models. I had no interest. I wanted to play with the girls. And the strange thing is that decades later, the studies showed, as I already knew, boys who play with boy dolls tend to turn gay. Boys who play with girl dolls don't turn gay. So, it's just... And it was even after my mom caught me with my collection of Sears catalog women that I thought I put them in the one place where my mom would never check. Oops, I was wrong. She did, Jack. She just burst into my bedroom and, what's going on? Yeah. My mom goes right to the place, right to the drawer where they were hidden, finds them, and then says nothing, just walks out and leaves. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get punished. I'm not going to get scolded. What's up? What's going on? What the hell? But I still continued the practice because it was an art form. Is this computer getting hacked now? I'm getting weird things, such as, but it's similar, it's consistent with PC-Matic's changeover. Okay, there's still, Mormon's working there and stalling the processing. I'm doing the hacking method. Can't they just pretend to be secretive about it? Oh, man. And so that's my experience. My first wife, my first woman formerly called my wife, was taking fashion design at Rick's College, and she was telling me about how Fashion Design New York have a starting salary of $100,000 a year. Yep. So, if my parents were not so homophobic because of the church, okay, this is concerning. Now my PC-Matic shield has now popped up. Is it letting me know I'm being attacked right now? Is it trying to say that it's working for once? Man. Okay, so, but the church during this homophobic period was doing conversion therapy, and not the let's sit down and talk about your gayness and see if we can guilt trip you into being obedient to heterosexuality. It was more of and looking at guys having sex. Clockwork Orange came out in the 70s, late 70s, I think, or was it in the 80s, early 80s? And my first date was with Cynthia Pollard, who informed me that her favorite movie was Clockwork Orange. So I went and rented Clockwork Orange on video cassette, and it turns out I'm a little confused as to why it's her favorite movie and why she was telling me it was her favorite movie. What she exactly meant. Was she in favor of those type of guys going into conversion therapy? And was she alluding to me? Or what? Because at the end, Stanley Kubrick made it very clear it doesn't work. People just tell you what you want them to tell you. And so, the church was coming out also with priesthood and Relief Society lessons to identify and report your gay children. And my dad comes in with the poster of Farrah Fawcett, who was too old for me, because back in those days, actors were adults pretending to be children, and didn't quite hold water. But he thought that he wanted to see me get a boner with her or something. I don't know. It was really creepy and very weird with Dad trying to identify your sexuality. So he's there. Do you like this? Do you find her attractive? Not anymore. I no longer want to be a heterosexual. Doesn't work that way. But I mean, if they just paid attention, they would know that the Boy Who Could Fly girl, she was one that I had the hots for as a little kid, and Jennifer Connelly from Labyrinth, when she was wearing that dress. Wow. So they just needed to pay attention, get involved in my life, but I still would have reverted inward more so that they couldn't find out. But yeah, they created a fear because of what the church told them to fear, and assumed wrong, and implemented all sorts of tortures on me because of their incorrect belief taught to them by the church. And of course, psychiatrists were all to blame for that too, as the church tried to work with psychiatrists who at that time considered homosexuality a mental illness. And they were going to cure them with conversion therapy. Chaos and confusion when you work with incorrect principles and fear rather than actual knowledge. So yeah, the church really screwed up big time, and it's because they don't have authority. The evidence that I show you at the beginning of this video before I show you the Barbie fashion plates is proof the church has no authority. You cannot cover up crime, which that evidence shows, and have authority. Remember Mormons, section 121 of the Doctrine and Covenants. When you cover up your sins, amen to your authority. They had no authority in the first place, but it applies generally to everybody in a position of authority over others. So now you know the Barbie fashion plate story of mine. And so yeah, the hacking thing was me collecting women's fashion in particular that day, because it's still an interest, but I still have to keep it a secret, because what do Mormons believe that women's fashion is? Pornography. And I've done those porn videos, and everybody's all like, oh, that's XXX rated. No, I need to explain to you how the rating system rated the 3X's system. But nobody wants to hear it because they're all paranoid and afraid of it. But X, nudity, showing the genitals. R-rated nudity was just the breasts and butt. And so XX is penetration. And then triple X was things coming out of certain things. And so thus, I don't think you can have an all-female triple X. There has to be a man involved for a triple X. But I don't know, maybe they come up with other things that can justify triple X. But if you're going to be confused, just please be quiet. Don't speak. You're going to look dumb. And you're going to expose that you've been brainwashed by the church too. That's the other thing that Mormons just don't get, is that when they speak based on what the church has told them, they're exposing themselves as having been brainwashed, just like Vallow and Daybell.